What's going on, everybody? The time has finally come to do a video that I've been wanting to do on this channel for a while now. I've done two videos in this kind of style, and this I've been reading style. The first one I think was rom-com. I've been reading rom-com manga, and then I've been reading lewd manga. And now it is time to do the video that I've been wanting to do for a while, which is I've been reading Manhwa, and I have been reading a bunch of Manhwa, and we're going to get into all that stuff here in a second. I just wanted to say a quick few things. As of right now, as of the making of this video, we're almost at like 500 subs, and that is incredible because that is a number that like felt so far away, so unattainable to me. By the time this video comes out, we might actually even already be at 500 subs, but in case we aren't, it's so awesome that if you might hear my dog over here. He's like taking care of himself. If you catch my drift, he's cleaning himself up. It's been one hell of a journey, and I'm extremely grateful for like everyone. I'm extremely grateful for everyone that has come to this channel and has hung out and has subbed to me, because you don't have to, and the fact that people have taken time out of their days to join this channel has meant the absolute world to me. And we're also closing in on 2 years. May will be 2 years, but this video is probably going to come out before then. But yeah, May like 5th or something is going to be 2 years of this channel being in existence. Like the channel itself has existed for like 9 years or something, but it's been 2 years since I started uploading videos to it. And this is a special one for me because I do enjoy manhwa, and I'm a huge fan of like Korean cinema and whatnot, and I'm gonna just try to talk as much Korean stuff as I can in this video and try to mostly keep it to Korean things, though I will inevitably talk about things that aren't Korean because I am all over the place with the things that I talk about. But I don't want to make this video extremely long, so let's get right into this. These are the volumes of manhwa that we will be talking about, so please kick back, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Like, I really wish that the god of high school would get the physical treatment, because I started watching the anime and I couldn't super get into the anime, but I've heard that the webtoon or whatever it is, the manhwa, is a lot better, that it goes way more into like the characters and to their backgrounds and whatnot, and the anime that was created, and the director of the anime was actually a Korean dude that speaks like really fluent Japanese, I guess, and I thought that was pretty cool. But he's worked on other stuff. I think he works for MAPPA, or works, in relation to MAPPA or something. I don't know if he's their director or if he's just a director, but I think he did a pretty good job, and he's worked on other stuff as well. And this is actually a manhwa that was also turned into an anime, and that was my first introduction to the Tower of God, was the anime, and I watched the first season of the anime. I'm not sure if the second season of the anime is out yet or not. I have no idea. I haven't really been keeping up with it. But I did watch the first whole season of it, and I enjoyed it enough that I went out of my way to buy this in a physical. And I have this right here. This is the hardcover. And then I also have the soft cover up there. I bought both of them just because I wanted to support this, because I want to see the rest of it get serialized. And if you don't know what Tower of God is about, you got this dude right here whose name is Bam, and he goes up this tower to go after his best friend, who is not pictured. Yes, she is. She's right there. Goes up the tower to follow his best friend right there, a girl named Rachel, and pretty much shenanigans ensue. It kind of reminded me of like just like other like tower crawl things, only it's not the same in that sense, like it isn't 100% like solo leveling, or like another one that we're going to be talking about here in a second, The World After the Fall. There's another one called The Tower of Jiraga that was an anime. I don't know if that was a manga, that got turned into an anime or not, but this is like dungeon crawler ones, or tower ascending stories that kind of follow the same premise as this, or even the one about picking up girls in the dungeon. What was it, Don Machi, or the English version of that is like is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon or something? Yeah, so pretty much this dude right here goes up the tower to to follow his homegirl right here, and along the way he meets a bunch of different characters that end up in some way or another helping him go up the tower. They have their own reasons, as well, for wanting to go up the tower, and some of them we don't really readily know why they're doing it. One of them, I'm pretty sure, I think just wants to get stronger. I think, if I remember correctly, this dude just wanted to get like stronger, wanted to fight like the strongest opponents that he could. This dude is like a knockoff Killua. This dude just, like, for me, just, if I remember correctly, he was like a knockoff Killua that they included in the story, because he definitely has like some Killua-ish traits, though I'm pretty sure Killua would destroy this dude in a heartbeat. Yeah, so he goes up the tower after this girl, and there's like a bunch of trials and whatnot that he has to go through, and in each level of this tower, he has to go through like a really set specific trial to be able to advance to the next level. And people do die in this manhwa. Kind of reminded me of Battle Royale, where all these 42 kids end up on this island and they all pretty much have to kill each other. So it's pretty much like the first part of this, where you're like in the first area before you even get into the tower, or before you even like really start to ascend the tower. You end up on this field and everybody's pretty much killing each other, from like 400 people down to 200 people, and then those 200 people will go to the next level of the tower. And this one doesn't really cover that much of the story. It covers like a pretty small part of it, because I did watch the anime, so I remember how much was what happened in the anime, and then a thing that happens near the end that was triggering. There's the thing that happens in the end of the anime that was pretty triggering, that I'm not gonna say because I don't want to spoil it for people that want to check it out. But yeah, there's a character in here that you're gonna end up hating by the end of it. And I definitely recommend reading it. It's pretty slow. Like, this first volume is going to be really slow, so if you haven't already consumed Tower of God, you're probably going to be like, this is really boring, because it's like super slow. And I don't even know if volume 2 is going to really start picking it up, but I think it might, because it's like halfway through the story in the anime too, where like the things started happening, and like all the momentum started picking up. But it really takes its time, building a story. This isn't Solo Leveling, where it's right off the bat action, or even like The World After the Fall, where it's also, just kind of like right off the bat action. This takes its sweet ass time, building up these characters, building up these relationships. And I feel like it's a stronger story for it, because it takes its time to get to know all these characters, their motivations, and then finally when they become friends and whatnot, it makes sense that they become friends because of all the stuff that they've been through together throughout the course of the story. And I think it's a pretty good read. So yeah, check out Tower of God. All right, next up we have The World After the Fall. When I first started reading this, I honestly thought that this was done by the same people that made Solo Leveling, but it's not the same people. I mean, it could easily be the same people that did that, because it's almost an exact replica of Solo Leveling. And I did a video about Solo Leveling like 6 months ago, and yeah, this isn't terrible. Like, it's not bad at all. I actually enjoyed it, and I have volume 2, I think, pre-ordered, or maybe I don't. Maybe I canceled my pre-order for volume 2. I cannot remember. But yeah, I mean, I could honestly go without reading any more of it, to be honest. Like, I mean, I would, continue it. I would continue reading it just for the hell of it. But I mean, this is definitely like Solo Leveling, where this dude just gets stronger because he has protagonist powers, essentially. That's all he needs to be strong, is that he's the protag, and that's all that matters, is that he has protagonist powers. And that's 100% the case here, where this dude pretty much has protagonist powers, where he's like, oh, I never give up. I fell right now, but I'm gonna get back up, and I'm gonna somehow become even more powerful. It reminds me of like this stuff reminds me of like like pretty much like Uncanny Valley, like Roddy. I don't know how old you guys are, but Roddy Piper was a wrestler in like the 80s who would go out, and he was kind of like an anti-hero kind of a character. It was like the Like he was rowdy, you know, as his name suggests, and he would go out there and basically like he would be getting the hell kicked out of him in a match, and then like as somehow just as he's getting the hell kicked out of him, the fans start cheering him on. They're like, Roddy, Roddy, Roddy. And as he's getting pummeled, he's like somehow like is able to stand up, and he stands up and he beats the hell out of the dude that was beating the hell out of him. And that's pretty much like stuff like Solo Leveling and this manga right here, The World After the Fall. And I mean, if you've read Solo Leveling, you pretty much already know what this is going to be. It's almost the same. It's like a carbon copy of it. I mean, there's slight differences, you know, with the stories where like Solo Leveling, you can come in and out of the towers. This, you're pretty much in the tower and you don't leave the tower at all. And it's pretty wild because there's some things that are introduced that make it a little bit closer to SAO that I won't get into because of spoilers. It's good, you know, it's not bad. I'm sitting here sounding like I'm taking the meanest dump on this thing because, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what it actually is. And I'm not going to sit here and you know, put rose-colored sunglasses on and make you think that it's the greatest thing ever. I'm going to give you my honest opinion about a thing because that's what I do, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend, you know, that it's something it's not. It's not a phenomenal story. It's an okay story, and I mean, yeah, I mean, I would read Volume 2 just for the hell of it, more than anything, and not because, like, I need to know what happens next, but I would read it just for the hell of it. It's pretty much, like, I mean, I really don't know what to say about it, other than, you know, it's pretty much, like, typical protag who, like, refuses to give up, which you've seen a million times in a million other stories about the protagonist who won't give up because he has protag powers and he's going to be number one no matter what. It just sounds like I'm ripping this manhwa a new one, but I'm really not. I'm not trying to be rude or nasty to it, dude. It's just like you've seen this story before. You know, this isn't breaking new ground. It's not gonna do something that hasn't been done before. It's pretty much more of the same for people that like this sort of thing. So if you're a person that enjoys this sort of a story, because if there's a lot of action and it's cool, you know, the action is nice. The characters are interesting enough. You know, they're not like Academy Award worthy characters. You know, they play the part they're supposed to play, and then they see themselves out, you know, exit stage left. But yeah, I mean, if you like a tower story, you know, you want to see people ascend the tower, the artwork it's nice, you know, it's good artwork. And yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're a person who's into this, you're going to get what you pay for. So on to the next one. The boxer was really good. Like, this is a really good manhwa. I like the characters in it. It kind of reminds me of like Cobra Kai a little bit, which was a really good show when I was watching it, but I haven't watched like the last like couple of seasons of it, but I really did enjoy Cobra Kai, and this was good. The story was pretty entertaining. I'm like halfway through this one right now. And yeah, I'm like on what is essentially like episode 5 of the story. But I wanted to stop there because like I want to have the anticipation, and I want to share the anticipation that I have with you all. For The World After the Fall, I actually read that whole manhwa, and for The Tower of God, I read halfway through that manhwa, but I've already, you know, seen the anime, so I know, you know, what comes next up until where the anime for that story ends. But beyond that, I have not consumed any of that, so I have no idea what comes next, you know, with that story. And with this, I did the same thing. I'm like up to chapter 5 or part 5 or whatever. And this has been really good. Like, so far, the characters that we've met have all been pretty strong. It's not like a super generic story in the same way that, like, you know, the World After the Fall is. You know, it's not, you know, that sort of rehash of the same thing that you see over and over. This has actually so far been pretty good. What I liked is there's a dude who's set up, like, you think he's going to be, like, the lead or whatever. You think he's going to be, like, the anti-hero, and in a sense, he ends up becoming more of, like, the antagonist than anything, and it really did subvert, you know, my expectations in that manner, because this is a little bit harder to talk about, because it's called The Boxer, and you think it's going to be about, like, the one dude. I saw this dude on the cover, and I thought it was going to be about him. But as of where I'm at right now in like in chapter 5 or whatever, there's like 3 guys that are kind of gonna be like the protags of the story, and I'm kind of rooting for like the underdog too, because there's 2 guys that are like underdogs, and then there's the one guy that ends up becoming the villain in a sense. And the dude who ends up becoming the villain is an absolute nutcase. Like, this reminded me a lot of like Tokyo Revengers, and Tokyo Revengers is a really good story that I quite enjoy. Saw the anime forever ago, and I really liked that. And I mean, the last part of the anime started to kind of suck a little bit. It started to really fall off, but the first part of it was really good. And then I started reading the manga, and I really liked the manga a lot, and I need to continue it. I read the first volume of the manga for Tokyo Revengers, and I do want to continue it. I want to read the whole thing and finish it up, and I definitely got like vibes of that from this. You know, like, I love when a character is in like a dark place in this kind of a story, and there's other stories that do it too. Manga does it as well, where like there's like really dark shadow, you know, like the like hard black, you know, shading to make it look like, yeah, this dude's like gone psychotic, he's gone off the deep end, like it's like all hell's about to break loose. And this manhwa does it, and it does it really exquisitely. You can kind of see it, like the shading. It's such a nice touch, because 2 different characters have had that sort of fade, and pretty much there's this old dude who comes out of retirement, and he's looking for a boxer. He sees this one guy who has promise, and then he sees another guy who is, I think, pretty sure it's this dude right here, who like doesn't want to fight anybody and doesn't really see the point in fighting. He thinks that it's boring or whatever. He needs like a purpose to fight. He wants to know why he should even bother to fight, and he basically gets the hell kicked out of him, and he keeps just getting beat up, and he doesn't do anything about it. But you could tell, you know, that like there's something, you know, raging within him, something boiling within him. And I feel like by the end of this, we're probably going to end up seeing him do some damage, and it's going to be insane because it's building towards it. It feels like a slow burn where, like, you know it's coming. And there's another kid who's like bespectacled, and his dad was a boxer, was a boxer, and he wants to live up to his father's legacy. And then there's another dude who is like, I guess, like the villain of the story, who starts off and you think he's kind of goofy, and it turns out he's an absolute nutcase. So to me, those 3 dudes are, as of this moment, the leads in the story, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen next, what they're going to do, where this is all going to go. I ordered volume 2. I pre-ordered volume 2, so whenever that drops, I think in like May or whatever, that'll drop, and I'll get my hands on it, because yeah, I definitely do want to read way more of the boxer and see what's going to happen with these characters and with this story, and see how much darker this thing can get. So yeah, that is the boxer. Alright, so I got 2 more coming. I got right here, this is the Hellbound, which I think is one of the best written stories I've ever read in my life. And then the other one is my favorite of the 5. So this is what I think is the best written one, and then the other one, and the last one I'm going to show you, is what is essentially my favorite of the 5. But let's talk about the Hellbound. This is peak writing. This manhwa was an absolute joy to read. I couldn't stop reading it. I was only going to read like half of it to do this video, you know, because like I like to read halfway through things, and then that gives me something to talk about and be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to read the rest of it to see what happens next. But with this, I could not put it down. I couldn't put the Hellbound down. And you know, for as much trash, you know, as I talked about The World After the Fall, I did read that whole thing because like same deal, like I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop reading it. And yeah, the Hellbound is an incredible story, and there's a Netflix show that's also called The Hellbound, and I started watching it once, and I watched a little bit of the first episode, and like the animation for these creatures was really weird, and I just like couldn't take it seriously, so I stopped watching it. But I may end up going back and I'm rewatching the show, watching it from the beginning, because this manhwa was just absolutely incredible, and I love the attention to detail. And I mean, I can't remember. I think it was Park Chan-wook, or no, Bong Joon-ho. I'm sorry, it was Bong Joon-ho that praised it. He one of my favorite film directors. One of my favorite directors right there. Yeah, Bong Joon-ho praised this. I kind of wish Park Chan-wook would have praised it as well, but yeah, Bong Joon-ho praised it, and he is a phenomenal filmmaker. I've talked about him before on this channel. Like, he did The Host, he did Memories of Murder, he did Mother. He's done a bunch of stuff. I think he did Snowpiercer. I think he did, but I'm not 100% sure that he did that. And he praised this. He thought it was a really good read. He also did Parasite. And I also think that this is a phenomenal read. I'm actually going to be doing a why you should read about The Hellbound once I finish Volume 2. I have Volume 2 on my shelf, and I'm going to read it pretty soon and do a why you should read about it, because this, I think, is just beyond being, a manhwa, beyond being Korean. I just think it's a phenomenal story. And pretty much The Hellbound is about people that you, at some point in your life, you committed a sin, and it's sometimes it could be like the most random little sin that you committed, but it's enough that your name gets added to like a lottery of sorts. And if your name gets called, you have like 7 days. It's like The Ring. You have like 7 days or something. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It depends on each person. Like, you may have anywhere from like 40 minutes from when you get the summon to like 20 years or 30 years. And in like 20 or 30 years, your time will come. And no matter what you do, no matter who you are, you will be found. It's like that movie with Liam Neeson. It's like, I will find you or whatever. But no, like, they will, these creatures right here will 100% hunt you down, and they will drag you down to hell. And it is so well done, because there's like an element of like fanaticism, and we follow like a bunch of different characters throughout the story. We follow this dude right here who has like, I guess, almost like a cult, and then he's got like his own fanatics, and then there's this other dude who's like a YouTuber. There's like this other dude who's like a YouTuber, and he makes videos about the videos that this dude makes, and he turns his words into like these really crazy fanatic type of thing. And the dude with the YouTube channel has his own insane following that pretty much do whatever he says, and they follow him, and they're even willing to like commit murder. And it gets extremely dark. Like, this manhwa got really dark. By the end of it, it was like some really brutal stuff going on, and like the lengths that these people are willing to go to. And it just shows you like the legit face of fanaticism. And it doesn't matter, if it's Korean or American or whatever, because if you know how fanaticism works, and how cults work, and their ability to brainwash people and make people just do these insane things that they would have never otherwise done, because they develop like this herd mentality, the sheep mentality, and they feel like, oh, we're united in this thing, so we're gonna go just kill a bunch of people. And that's kind of what happens here, with this. And you follow a bunch of different characters. You follow a detective. You follow the detective's son. You follow this other detective, and her relationship with her mother. And it was such a wonderful story, and really brutal. Like, when these creatures get people, they literally like tear them apart, and it's so visceral and so vicious. The way they just like completely obliterate people. I couldn't put it down. Like, I had to just read the whole thing. I was only gonna read half of it for the video, and I was just like, dude, I need to finish it. I need to know what happens next. And it felt like I was watching a film. Like, I pretty recently watched Decision to Leave, which is another Korean film, and that was a masterpiece. And reading this, it just felt like I was taking part in a film. Like, I was reading a film instead of watching it. Like, I was visualizing the script of a film, or looking at storyboards for a film, because it was so entrancing. It was so, it just sucks you in, and you don't want to like take your eyes away from it, as it just becomes brutally vicious and brutally violent, and you see these horrible things, and you get to know these characters, and it just feels like, at one point, like, I remember my blood was boiling because those fanatics had attacked somebody. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to start spoiling, but those fanatics had attacked somebody, and I was just like, it just made my blood boil. And if a story can do that, if a story can like get you to that point where you're like your blood is boiling and you're so angry because these idiots, these psychopaths are doing this thing. And I feel like that's good storytelling. That's incredible storytelling. And yeah, the Hellbound, in my opinion, has some of the best storytelling that I have ever consumed. And I'm a person, like, I love a lot of media. Like, I watch a lot of films. I'm always watching something or other. I read books, like legit books, not just manga and manhwa. I read comics sometimes too, but not as much anymore. But yeah, like, I read books and whatnot. And yeah, this is amongst some of the best that I've ever consumed. And I have no regrets about it. I wish I would have taken it on a lot sooner. I'm kind of glad that I didn't, watch the Netflix show, because it made reading this so much better, because I got to read it from scratch and I got to, experience it for like essentially the first time. And yeah, I do not regret picking it up, and I'm going to be doing a video about it pretty soon. I don't know, maybe in like the next couple of months, because I don't want to do it too close to this. I want to let some time pass, let it breathe a little bit. And then, yeah, I'm going to drop a video about the Hellbound. Alright, let's talk about my favorite manhwa of the 5. If this hadn't come out, if I had not picked up The Breaker, then my favorite manhwa would have 100% been the Hellbound, because the Hellbound really was, and I was fully intent on being like, alright, so this was my favorite manhwa, referring to the Hellbound, but nope. I had to pick up The Breaker, and this right here is 100% certified fresh, my favorite manhwa that I've ever read. I've read, I think, maybe like 6 manhwa in my life, including the ones that I showed you right now and Solo Leveling. So with that, I've read like 6 manhwa. But The Breaker is absolutely bananas. This is legit one of the greatest things that I've ever consumed. It's so entertaining. It's like Sun Ken Rock. That the same dude that made Sun Ken Rock, I think his name is like Bayoichi or something, or Boichi. I'm not sure how his name's pronounced, but he also is the dude who writes or wrote. I don't know if he's finished writing it or not. Dr. Stone. And if you look at Sun Ken Rock and you look at like Dr. Stone, there's a lot of like similarities in the art style, because it's like the same dude, and the one is like more like kid friendly, and then the other one is like very much not in any way, shape, or form kid friendly. And that's what I get from this. I get like vibes from that, and like Black Lagoon, which I love. I love Black Lagoon. The lead right here, this dude reminds me of like Vash the Stampede from Trigun. Because there's moments where, like, right here, where he looks like such a badass, and like he's gonna like destroy things, he's gonna mess things up, he's out for blood, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that, and then the next he's like a little pussycat, like Vash the Stampede is in Trigun, where he looks all menacing one moment, and the next he's like, here's my gun, you can take it, you know what I mean? And it's so well executed, dude. Like, this was 100%. It was so much fun, because like, going from the Hellbound, which is like really dark and depressing, and then you go from like the dungeon crawler ones, and then you got the Boxer, which is a really dark story as well. The Boxer is a really good story, but it's really dark. And then you get into like the Breaker, which was such a nice balance of things. It even reminded me a little bit of like Ikitosen. If you know Ikitosen and you read this, I think like that you will get definitely vibes from it, based on like the women too, because the women have like, the way the women dress in this definitely reminded me of that story. I've never read the manga, but I did watch the anime, and it definitely gave me, those sorts of vibes. And basically, I don't know 100% how to describe this story to you, because I did not read the back. I didn't read that because I wanted to go in blind. I was going to read it, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to like sit my ass down and read the manga itself. So I can't really describe what the synopsis is of the story, and I still haven't even read that. I'm like halfway through it. I really didn't want to put this down either, but I was like, if I keep reading it, I'm never going to get this video out. It's going to take even longer for me to sit here and read the whole thing and then get the video out. But so I'm going to give you pretty much from what I've read so far. Like, I'm almost halfway through it. From what I've read so far, I'm going to give you the idea of what this manhwa is about. This dude is essentially running from like a mob of sorts, and then there's like a greater kind of like Warriors. I don't know if you've ever seen Warriors, you know, where like all the different tribes are gathered around and the one dude's in the middle. So pretty much like they're after this dude, he goes into hiding, and he goes into hiding as like a high school teacher. But like there's the Sakamoto days thing, you know, where like even though he's in hiding or whatever, or he left that life in a sense, people will still find him. And it's so far what I've read has been really good because he's one of the leads, and then there's another kid who's like being bullied, and he ends up, you know, kind of becoming a mentor in a sense for the kid who's being bullied. And there's a bunch of other like side characters that are involved in it, and there's parts of it that are a little bit serious. You know, like there's definitely some more serious elements that, you know, play out throughout this manhwa, but for the most part, it's just a wild ride. It's like the Raid Redemption, just action packed, no holds barred, just crazy stuff going on, just endlessly. And I feel like the balance of all those elements fit so perfectly because it's like such a difficult, you know, balance to strike where like you want to have the humor, you want to have, you know, enough of a drama that people will take it seriously, and then you want to have like action and whatnot, and you want to have like the core of the story, family, whatever it is, the heart, the emotion, whatever that will tie it all together. Because if your story is just like 100% goofy all the time, people aren't going to take it super seriously. You know, they're just going to think, oh yeah, it's just a comedy. But this has a great mixture of all of those things, and it brings all those elements together. And yeah, there's parts of it that are hilarious, and then when it needs to be serious, and my dog is over here coughing, when it needs to be serious, it's serious. And I feel like it strikes the balance of all of these elements exquisitely. And yeah, if this hadn't come out, The Hellbound would have been my favorite story, but this came out, and though this isn't as, you know, as immersive as The Hellbound, it's not as dark as The Hellbound, it's definitely the most fun story. And the way it strikes its balance is, like I said, you know, between everything that it introduces, and the characters are so much fun. And I don't want to, as soon as I finish recording this video, I'm going to go back and just knock out the rest of this. And it's like 5 volumes. The whole thing is 5 volumes. And they're doing a box set with all 5 volumes for the Breaker. So I definitely recommend checking it out because, yeah, like this thing is all those things I mentioned. It's like Vash the Stampede meets like, yeah, Vash the Stampede from Trigun meets like Black Lagoon meets Ikitausen meets the Raid Redemption, and it strikes a balance between everything really well, and the characters are so much fun. I'm not even all the way through it yet, dude, and I'm so excited to finish it and to start the rest of it, because I have volumes 1 through 4, and then I have volume 5 on the way, so I should have it sooner or later. Don't know what else to say. I don't want to start spoiling it, you know. I don't want to tell you, you know, too much of what happens within it. There are parts of it that are kind of edgy, but it's immediately downplayed. It's immediately cut down and made fun of or whatever, but it still maintains, you know, the seriousness. And I think it's a really well executed story, and I cannot wait to continue the rest of it. All right, so let's start to close this thing out. So let's go back over everything in order of how we started it. So would I recommend you any of this stuff? Let's go down the line. For the most part, yeah, I would recommend everything based on, you know, your interests as a consumer. So Tower of God, I would definitely recommend, because this is like a slow burn story and it gets better as it goes. So this first part is going to be really slow, and if you've never consumed it in any way, shape, or form, this first volume is going to be really slow, but it's definitely worth it, because as it gets going, it gets a lot crazier. It does get pretty intense, but it's probably not going to happen until like maybe the middle of like volume 2, or maybe even like you might even have to wait for like volume 3 before it really, you know, gets like to the crazy, like the real crazy parts. But for the most part, it's a good story, you know, and I feel like that should be enough that will make you want to read it, is that the story's good. The artwork is okay. It's not incredible or anything, but I feel like as long as there's a good story, that's all that should really matter. World After the Fall. I definitely do recommend checking this out. You know, it is a tower story, and it is like generic, essentially protagonist, but it's a lot of fun to read. You know, like I read pretty much all of it. I didn't stop reading it until I finished this first volume. And like I said, you know, I would pick up the second volume, you know, just for kicks, just to see, you know, what happens next. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying, you know, things like Fast and the Furious, you know, and this is kind of like one of those things where you pretty much know what you're getting yourself into, and it's not something where you have to activate your brain. You know, you could just consume it and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with just consuming stuff because it's entertaining. Not everything has to stimulate you. I don't think that anyway, you know, and I'm a person that I consume a lot of like intellectual type of media, like films and whatnot, like a lot of artsy stuff because I am a nerd. And even, you know, even then I still like watching things that are essentially like bomb go boom, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is definitely, I definitely do recommend checking this out. The Boxer. Yes, please read The Boxer. This is really good. That is like the worst take that I've had. Yeah, please read The Boxer because this is a solid read. Even though like I'm only halfway through it, I can already see this getting even better. And I ordered volume 2 of this because I want to see what happens next, even though I haven't even seen what happens next in this first volume. I wanted to stop it somewhere where like I could still be really excited, you know, about what comes without, you know, really knowing myself what's gonna even happen, you know, when I flip the page. And yeah, this is I feel like this is shaping up to be a really solid story. That would be cool, I think, if this ever got, you know, an anime or like even a film, because they like to do film adaptations of different things. And yeah, I feel like this is a story that's definitely worthy of receiving one of those treatments. The Hellbound. 100% read The Hellbound. I mean, 100% in the sense that I'm going to be doing a video about this specific manhwa. So I'm going to have a script and everything, why you should read The Hellbound. So yeah, please check it out. Or if you don't, or if you want to see me, you know, show you panels from the thing and you want to wait a couple months, there will be a video on this channel. Yeah, pretty much giving you like a pretty detailed, you know, step by step, whatever, without giving you too many spoilers of the story. Yeah, step by step, you know, why you should read. So yeah, definitely please check this out. If you are an adult, if you are a person that is over the age of 18, I guess, I was going to say 21, but 18 is technically an adult, check out The Breaker. This is such an amazing, just no holds barred, just chaotic as hell story. And there's so, it really is, dude, just absolutely chaotic. And yeah, I recommend it for that reason. If you like Train to Busan and things like that, you know, where it's like super chaotic, but then there's also like a core story, and this definitely has that. And I love that about Korean cinema, and you know, like yeah, pretty much Korean cinema and you know Korean stories and whatnot, that they can strike these balances between humor and the dark and whatnot, and make it work really well. And that's one of my favorite things about, you know, Korean filmmakers, is their ability to just strike these balances where like something can be really goofy. Like Squid Game is a good example. Say what you will, you know, because it got super popular, so of course people are going to be like, oh, it's okay. But Squid Game, to me, struck a pretty solid balance between, you know, you have this lead who in the beginning is really goofy, and by the end of it, you just feel bad for him. By the end of the story, you just feel really bad for the dude. But at the beginning of it, he's like such a goofball. And that's kind of the same deal here, where this dude's a goofball, but, you know, there's parts of it where it gets kind of dark, and you know, you never really know where this dude stands. And I kind of like that. Like, he doesn't do the thing that you expect him to do. He does the opposite of the thing you expect him to do. And sometimes he does it because he feels like he feels like it's expected of him, versus because like he's doing it because it's the right thing. And yeah, I don't want to like keep just saying the same words to describe it, because I feel like it's just gonna get boring. But yeah, if all of these, I recommend this the most. Though I do recommend everything based on the kind of person that you are, and you know what maybe your particular interests are. Maybe you won't like this as much, and maybe you'll like one of the other ones a little bit more. You know, I think each thing for each person in its own sphere, its own category. You know, we're all different people with different tastes, and we're not all maybe gonna like the same things. But I'm super open-minded, so I'll check out like damn near anything. But yeah, those are my picks, and it felt so good to do this video. I've been wanting to do this video for such a long time. I've been wanting to do this video for months, and it feels good, dude. It feels good that we finally got to knock it out. So these are the volumes right here. These are the volumes, and that one's backwards. These are the volumes. These are all the volumes right here. And yeah, I'm so happy that I got to do this video. I'm sorry that it ended up being extremely long, but we did it. I want to thank my mom for believing in me. I'm just kidding. And yeah, there it is. Those are the volumes. And I just want to say a quick thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm sorry if you watched this whole video. I did not mean for it to be almost an hour long. It's going to be a nightmare trying to cut this thing down. So that's all I have for you. Please stick around, sub to the channel. I got tons of stuff working. I'm always in the middle of something. This is essentially my baby. I've been working on this channel for like 2 years. So yeah, that's all I have for you. Please take care of yourselves. I hope that you are doing well no matter what is going on in your life, whatever you have going on, wherever you are. I hope that you are taking care of yourself and that everything is going well and that everyone you love is happy and healthy. So please take care. Until next time.
By the hands of God, I stand as a wrench between your wheeling cog, fastening my belt, bracing myself to withstand against all odds. Himself shadow runners, battle ready, murder dogs. Rip the skin off your horses, triumph and smash the sorceress. Lethal forces, the failure of your ambitions is more painful than divorces. Smash your dome piece on the doorway, when the door hits, that's it. Call it quits, zipped up in plastic, cremated, melted like elastic. Dreams don't mean shit, in this life they don't exist.